Hey there, folks. Jason here, and Happy New Year's from Blue Label Bastards Wargaming. And what I wanted to talk about today, briefly, before I start putting out my or working on my weekly posts, are my 2015 Wargaming goals. Now, I've seen some people put out either a challenge or what they're hoping to accomplish in the year, and I thought I'd throw out what my targets are for this year, 2015, both as a motivational point for me. You can hold me responsible for what I do or don't achieve. It's also to give you, my listeners, my watchers, my subscribers, an update as to what my plans are and what that means for the channel. Again, I hope this will be a quick video. I don't do quick videos very well. I tend to ramble, but let's try to keep this short. So, my goals for this year. Shouldn't be too surprising to most folks, because I think all of us as wargamers struggle with, I am going to paint X number of models per day, week, month. I am going to finish this army, blah, blah, blah. I have those two. I'm going to try to make progress on it. I'm going to try to use YouTube as a means to share my experiences and also to keep me motivated. So, starting with number one, make progress and finish existing projects. That is Bolt Action and Hail Caesar are the primary ones I'm focused on right now. I'm kind of hip deep in the middle of them. I've got the box, the pile of purchased models they need to work my way through that are just kind of calling to me, mocking me behind me here. So I need to make some progress on that. And I'll get into that a little bit more on some of the ways I hope to motivate myself to do that. So right now, my two primary existing projects are Bolt Action and Hail Caesar. And I continue to whittle away at those, but I hope to get in a kind of a wargaming groove now that the holidays are over. Number two, possible new projects. So I've really gotten interested recently in the 30 Years' War. Personally, just historically reading the books. And so I'm considering if I can make some decent progress on Bolt Action and Hail Caesar to maybe start a 28 millimeter pike and shot army. I like the Swedes. It's a different paint scheme. But that is something out in the future. And then I was also cruising through one of my local gaming stores, and I came across Robotech RPG Wargame. And I was looking at it, and then I went online, and I found it much cheaper online. And so I picked up the starter set. I had some holiday funds come in, and so I spent. It wasn't actually too expensive. And so I might do that, and I'll talk about what will influence that decision a little bit further down. So number three is to reduce my closet of shame. And you might think that has a lot to do with make progress on existing or potential new projects. When I was overseas, I accumulated a lot of armies and models and one-off stuff and terrain things that I did some work with, and others just kind of languished as future projects. And they have filled up my closet. I showed a picture of it in an earlier video. And it's kind of one of those, feeling the need to simplify and do a little spring cleaning in January. So I think what I'm going to be doing is, I've sold some stuff on eBay. I'm going to sell off some other things too, because if they're not going to get done, I'd rather, one, I could use the storage space. My wife gives me the occasional flat stare on how much room my wargaming terrain and unfinished models are taking up in our house. Excuse me. So I'm thinking about selling some of those. One of those probably will be my Tomb King's army, which I never really made much progress on, but I have a decent-sized force. So whether or not I advertise that first on YouTube or it goes right on eBay or a Google Plus page, but a lot of other things. I have a small Empire army that's unpainted. Just a lot of stuff that you accumulate when you go into the FLGS or you see a great deal on eBay. I think I'm going to part with some of that stuff. One that'll free up some funds, because I'm trying to rein in my spending on wargaming unless I'm actually going to make progress. I've got some 40K stuff I'm going to part with. I'm looking at a Thunderbolt fighter that I painted up, and then the Vulture gunship that I'm not going to probably end up playing my Elysian Imperial Guard force ever. So I think that stuff's going to kind of go. And that will reduce my closet of shame. I can put more of my stuff away, have a little bit cleaner hobby area. So that's my third goal. Fourth goal is to find a kind of an established gaming group. I've talked about this on a couple different occasions, and I've got some feelers out there. But my goal for a gaming group would be to find a group that shares similar interests and is also curious about trying out new games. I don't want to have like, well, this friend plays Warhammer Fantasy, and that friend plays Historicals, and this friend plays insert X game here. Ideally, what I'd like to find is a bunch of, guys or girls that would be open to a host of things. Obviously, that's kind of a perfect world scenario. So I'm going to continue working on that. I've got a line into some bolt action players. That'll probably be my primary gaming. What am I trying to say here? The game that I'll have the easiest time finding opponents to play with on a regular basis, and hopefully that'll turn into bat reps for the channel. Hail Caesar is always going to be tougher because it's historical. It's kind of a one-off game. Somebody else locally plays 30 Years War 28mm, and this is completely separate from my interest in it, but they offered to host a game for that. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it. 30 Years War 28mm Warlord Pike and Shot. So, and maybe that's more for a later video as to how to talk about growing a gaming group, either soliciting your thoughts or kind of my own experiences. And fifth, and this isn't any particular rank order, but growing my YouTube channel. I've had good success recently, and I don't know if it's because I shifted away from Warhammer Fantasy, which is kind of saturated. They're relatively small, but still has saturated the YouTube wargaming community, and have delved more into one-off games. But my subscriber count is up. I've got some great commenters. Thank you very much for those of you that have watched, liked, subscribed, commented. I've almost doubled my subscribers. I'm at about 112, I think, right now, which is good for me. It's more than I had before. Again, I don't have any illusions that this channel is going to be a full-time gig, but I do like having more people comment and view, and looking at your analytics is always good when it's in the green, not in the red. So in order to do that, my goal is to keep up with the weekly video production. So at the very least, I hope to have one video per week on Bolt Action and Hail Caesar. I'm going to do another Hail Caesar video tonight, and I'm working on finishing up some command models for Bolt Action. It'll be coming out later this week. I'll do the occasional hobby ramble and product review. I don't know how I ended up getting thumbs down on my IKEA case review. I don't know what can be offensive about that, unless somebody just doesn't like the Swedes. Say la vie. So that's my goal on that. The occasional hobby ramble, and just whatever kind of comes across. But at the very least, those two, Bolt Action and Hail Caesar, will be throughout the year. I'm sure there'll probably be more, and hopefully I'll have the occasional bat rep. And then the last one, and this is probably, I would call it the longest shot and the most important. But my son is 7 years old. He'll be 8 in April, and he's showing more and more interest in wargaming. He's always shown interest when I got everything out and he wants to play with them. But I'm trying to figure out what's the appropriate age and the appropriate game to start him in wargaming. And I'm going to do a separate video on this, to do a little bit of research and then solicit your thoughts. But he's, I think, coming of the age, and he's smart enough to start to play these things, whether that will be hey, Andy, let's sit down and learn Warhammer Fantasy with your dad, or there's a different game out there to get him more interested in it. Part of that was why I looked at Robotech. I know when I was a kid, Robotech had come out and got me super excited, and I remember that was one of the first things, that and probably Star Wars, that got me interested in science fiction and fantasy and things like that. One, it was just cool, better than any American cartoons that were out at the time. And so me picking up the Robotech RPG war game was a bit of nostalgia, but I'm also wondering if that's a way to get my son into it, by showing him that, and then be like, hey, do you want to play with the Destroid? Do you want to, fight off the Zentradi? Do you want to be the Zentradi? Looking at the rules, I think it may be a little bit too complicated, but I'll have another video out on that. So, my thoughts, and I'd welcome your thoughts on this, of course. I think my 2015 Wargaming goals are ambitious but achievable. Life does get in the way, and I hope that if I miss a week on my weekly videos, I'll double down the next week. I travel for work. We go on vacations. Life gets busy. I do think this is achievable. I'm going to try setting up like a set schedule, like Tuesday nights will be for painting whatever system, for Wednesday's video on your progress. So I think all that's ambitious but achievable. Growing the YouTube page, what do you folks want to see? If you've made it this far in the video, I'd welcome your thoughts on, are there things that I'm missing? Are there things I'm not doing well? Are there things I am doing well? Again, I'd welcome your comments, constructive, positive, hit me with your best shot. Again, I said I'd do a video on this, but what are your thoughts on war games for kids? Did you have any experience bringing your sons or daughters into the fold? Good, bad, or ugly. And then what are you guys up to in 2015? Some of you have posted videos, not that many. What are your plans? Can they dovetail? I didn't want to start out with let's do a wargaming challenge for 2015. Other people have already done that. If folks are interested in kind of a motivational thing, I do that with friends online that work out some. That's another one of my goals for the year. But if folks are interested in doing a painting challenge, a modeling challenge, a video challenge, I'm up for it. So again, I hope you all had a great holiday season. I hope you're all having a great new year. And I will see you again soon, very, very soon, I hope, with another video. And again, happy wargaming.